In this DVD series, I like to share with you some of the insights that I've gained in 35 years of medical practice. In 2007, I was voted Physician of the Year by the Global Foundation of Integrative Medicine as one of the leading physicians in integrative medicine worldwide. I don't think it has anything to do with that I know anything more than other people, but I have a way of diagnosing and treating patients that has evolved in my practice that I think is very good and very helpful and can be taught to others. So other practitioners that come after me can stand on my shoulders and do it better than I do it. In this first DVD that you're watching here, I'd like to introduce you to a fundamental philosophical model that has evolved from me, from which I understand illness much better and also healing modalities much better than I ever did. And it is interwoven with what I call the 7 factors. Now let me start. The 7 factors are those issues that are causing chronic health problems. The first one and foundational one, I just lead you through it. The first and foundational one is toxicity and chronic infections. The other one are biochemical abnormalities, usually referred to as genetic issues. The third one is structural problems, the type of stuff that chiropractors and osteopaths deal with. The fourth one is a little bit more difficult, is what we call in Europe interference fields, that any structure in the body can become electrically active, like an additional pacemaker in the heart. When some heart cells become dysfunctional, very often scars and autonomic ganglia in the body can be arising to behave, electrically speaking, abnormally and cause trouble in the body. That's less known in the US and in Britain, more known in the Spanish-speaking countries, France and in Germany. The fifth very serious issue and growing issue is electromagnetic radiation from cell phone broadcasting, from household currents, from radio broadcasting, television broadcasting, from wireless internet, and other household items. And the sixth one is food allergies, can cause significant health problems. And the last but not least is the realm of psycho-emotional, spiritual, social problems. So I will take you now through the 5 levels of healing and will remind you of where these 7 factors can be seen. So this model of healing arises from the old yogic tradition. Patanjali, the father of modern yoga, several thousand years ago, wrote about a system of healing that he called the 5 koshas. The 5 koshas can be translated into the 5 bodies or the 5 envelopes that we have. The first body is the physical body. The second body is the energy body. I get into that in a moment. The third level is the mental body. The fourth level is the intuitive body, or the dream body as the shamans call it. And the fifth level is the spirit. Now let me take you through these levels in a way that may be helpful in understanding what you can actually do with this system. I want to talk about ART, and I want to start in the beginning to introduce you to some of the tools that we're using, the tools of the trade. ART stands for Autonomic Response Testing, and we simply are looking for ways of showing if the person goes into a stressed state or into a healing state. In more physiological terms, we want to see if we, for example, if somebody eats wheat, if it activates the sympathetic nervous system and creates a stress reaction, or does it create a nice, relaxed, parasympathetic dominant healing state? When the person was hungry, you felt the stomach, the person is happy, everything is relaxed. Many tools available in medicine and in psychology to determine if somebody is in a healing state or in a stressed state. Usually these tools are referred to as biofeedback tools, and I've experimented with all of them, many of them. They're also used in the form of lie detectors, which are also useful and can be used for this work. However, we found that by using feedback from the muscles of a patient, that we get more accurate readings that are not distorted by inserting an instrument between us and the patient. Many patients today react to anything electronic that you put on their body, and what you will then measure is their reaction to the instrument rather than the reaction to what you're trying to test in the patient. Of course, these principles have been examined in the field of kinesiology, in the field of Chinese pulse testing. There's many tools that use various indicators in the body to determine the state of the autonomic nervous system. What we found out as a very simple principle is this. For example, if the patient is deficient in vitamin C, and I introduce vitamin C into the patient, it will create a healing state rather than a stress state. If a patient is toxic with mercury, and I will introduce tiny amounts of more mercury in the system, the patient will respond with a stress state. That is pretty self-evident. What takes a little stretch of the imagination is that how does the patient know that I'm introducing mercury when I just put it in his hands or close to him? And for that, I answered that with one of my deepest learning experiences I had with this. This was a patient who was allergic to local anesthetics, just to keep it short, and went into deep anaphylactic reactions every time a dentist used a local anesthetic. I tried to test her on local anesthetics just using muscle testing, and every time my assistant came within 6 feet or 8 feet of this patient with the little tray that she brought into my room with local anesthetics on it, the patient would have an anaphylactic reaction. And we ended up double and triple blinding this experiment, where neither I knew where the nurse was with the local anesthetics nor the patient, and we could within half an inch determine how far away from the patient the local anesthetic had to be, and the patient would react. Now, I'm assuming that there was not just a gifted patient, one patient in 6 billion who had the ability to sense things in the field outside, away from their body. I do know it's a property of all higher evolved animals. It's very well studied in sharks. They can detect the victim through their autonomic nervous system up to 16 feet away. They form an inner image how the person looks like even in the most murky water. And many other animals have been shown to have this sense. It's I call it an energetic immune system that responds to the presence of a particular substance away from the body. And that is the reflex that we're using, and that's the only thing that will take a stretch of the imagination. Is it easy to prove? Absolutely. We can give somebody who's got a wheat allergy wheat to eat and record his heart rate variability. That's a quantitative assessment of the autonomic nervous system, and demonstrate the stress reaction.